Hey guys, it's Joe and Matt, VMP's Tuning Tuesday, Season 3, Episode 21. Is that correct?
21. 21. Rotational check.
I can't rotational check right now.
Why?
I'm too close to the edge.
What? You're supposed to be in a position for rotational check before the show starts.
My bad, my
These
bad.
are the rules.
Yep.
Okay.
We are rotated.
Can we synchronize?
I don't think we can synchronize today.
Okay.
We got to work on our knee mesh. Hope all's been well with you guys. We've been good and happy to be through the Corona stuff, it seems. And
Yeah, we've moved on. Now we're rioting.
yeah. And
I told Brian, like, we should not get political today. Well, that lasted 30 seconds.
and it's gone.
Hey, sorry, you left the window open.
So, tuning-wise, there's a lot of shit going on outside. There's a lot of stuff out there to tune.
There is.
And,
All the Odins.
yeah, all the Odins.
We sold any Lokis yet?
I don't know. Everyone seems to be wanting to go big baller and go.
I knew that was going to happen.
Buddy and everything all
I
out.
told him that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to buy one, buy one.
I think there's only a couple Lokis, but most of them are Odins. But the option is there for those that want to stay low boost and still make good power.
Pump gas life.
Which is 90% of people.
I know, but yet they're going to buy that Odin.
Yeah. The thing they don't need. Tuning. Your project's moving along. My project's moving along.
Yeah. I've been more tickets than anything. We don't have anything super crazy going on. The Jeep was the last.
That's okay.
It's
They
back.
come
You didn't pay the power bill.
Oh, bother.
The Jeep was the last thing that was really super crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are.
Did we do the video on the Jeep yet?
No, we can't release it yet, I don't think.
Or yeah, install video or video like the dyno stuff or anything?
I don't think we released any videos on that.
Damn.
Okay. So we can't even talk about it.
Man, we can't even talk about the Jeeps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know.
That seems kind of silly.
We took a Jeep and we made it wine.
It's going through this, because technically it is their product. But, I don't know. Well, I'm just doing what I'm told.
10 for. He's like, I just work here, man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So we've had both a recent and not so recent insurgence of 2-valve and 3-valve tuning.
Oh my God, has it ever? Everyone in the
old
world.
GT500 tuning.
They all told their friends.
Yeah, VMP tunes narrowband cars. You can go get a tune from VMP.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll have an introductory topic of narrowband tuning.
I have a minimum of 10 EQ5 cars right now in tickets that I'm working on. So, yeah.
So for those that are wondering, we do tune EQ5 cars.
Yep.
When they're set up in a way that is going to tune properly.
Yeah.
And on those cars, we want to see wideband. We want it to have an analog cable, so that the signal coming out of the wideband can be put into the SCT device, so it can be logged at the same time.
Yeah.
So we can make any necessary adjustments, see exactly what it's doing and when it's doing it.
Yeah, as a backup, we've always had, like, occasionally as a backup, if people that don't have the analog cable always say, oh, we'll just go make a poll and film the wideband. But that's becoming a pain in the ass, too, because the refresh or the frame rate on cameras
Mixed with LED
screens, like on an AEM, for example, makes the damn thing flicker and you can't see the video anyway.
Yeah.
So Brian knows about that.
And then half the time we'll get wideband only.
Yeah.
And no data log.
And an Innovate is worse than an AEM as far as the sampling rate on the display.
Yep.
So just buy the wideband and
what is it, $10 or $15 cable?
Yeah, it's $15 for the cable to hook it up to your SCT handheld.
And then you don't have to die while trying to one hand the wheel, one hand the camera. It's just better.
It is considerably
Don't be
better.
scared of 3 wires. It'll be fine. You'll be fine.
And the finished product will work out much better.
Yes.
So
with that precursor,
and use a name brand mass air meter and a name brand injector. That's very important, and then your world will just get better.
And when we tell you a setup isn't going to work well, believe us, or we're not going to tune it.
Yeah.
Because we're done dealing with these.
That's the other thing. Yeah, the public
nightmares.
service announcement. If we're telling you this isn't going to work, we're not trying to sell you something.
And we're not necessarily saying it's not going to work at all. It's
Right.
more so that you're not going to like the end result.
Correct. We're not trying to just sell you something. Do we sell the stuff? Yes. Do I care if you buy it from us? No. I just don't want to tune that combo.
Yeah.
Not only that, but we're trying to save you headaches.
Yeah, correct.
We've had the headaches.
We're trying to save ourselves headache, and we're trying to save you a headache. Because if we can tune it in 4 revisions versus 12 revisions, that's better all around.
Yeah, you don't have to hear your significant other nag about how long it's taking for your car to be drivable and how
Correct.
much time you're spending with it and all that stuff.
Save your marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that, we'll move on to questions.
We do have the questions.
Paul Brinston, hey guys, 2010 GT500 TBS blower with a 2.4 pulley, 2.5 off-road H-pipe. I only have access to 91 octane. Would it be best to tune with 91 and add some Torco to make it 93 for safety, or just add the Torco and tune it without a fudge factor? Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Trinity blower from 1314 GT500, I assume. It really depends on what your end goal is. The car will tune just fine on 91, and you can add the boosting or the Torco for the safety factor.
You should be all right on 91.
Yeah, and the only time I'd say that you'd have to add Torco or boosting is if you're running more boost than you currently are, or if you were trying to target a specific horsepower number. The car is going to make more power with Torco and boosting, period.
Right.
So whether or not that's worth it is really a thing you need to do some soul searching for and see if that aligns with the power number you have in your head, or I just want to make sure I don't have issues, so I'm going to put a little bit of Torco or a little bit of boosting in the tank to bump up the octane, and I know I'm good. That is an expensive engine. Even if it's iron block, to have one gone through is expensive. I'd say that boosting or Torco is a good added safety factor. The 10 knock sensors aren't very good at all. Yeah, they're there, but they're not great, and they don't have a lot of freedom of execution, so I wouldn't say that they're really going to save you if you ever get in a bad way. They'll try to, but they won't. So yeah, I don't know how well that answers your question, but that's the best I can do for you there. It's kind of a personal choice. Javier Perez, hi fellas, what intake MAF filter combo are you guys running or recommending for new 6-inch GT500 throttle body for 03 Cobra? So I don't know how you're measuring that.
I don't really know what that is.
It should be a 5-inch diameter opening if it was actually perfectly round. So you should be using a 5-inch coupler. If you're measuring the width and you're measuring it at 6 inches, you also have to take into account it's an oval.
Yeah.
So just because the diameter of the oval and one portion of the oval is 6 inches doesn't mean if equated to a round coupler that it's a 6-inch coupler. That's not how that works. I'm under the impression that the GT500 throttle bodies for 0304 Cobra use a 5-inch round coupler that when compressed and stretched in the same shape as the oval pops right on.
Let's see, was this Ian Guthrie?
Yes.
Hey guys, longtime viewer. I've got blinker fluid in my muffler bearing. How should I proceed? Well, let me learn you something. Muffler bearings exist.
They do.
They do exist.
They do.
It started in the Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. You didn't know that, did you?
Oh,
and then we've moved on from there. And lots of new cars, ZR1s, Hellcats, anything, Mustangs, anything that has a new active exhaust system is going to have baffles. The bushings in which those shafts ride on are going to be muffler bearings.
True story.
Now, the fact that you have blinker fluid in your muffler bearings is probably just condensation from the cats.
Definitely.
So how you should
condensation.
How you should proceed is not worry about it.
Yep. Then we got Blue Collar Daily. Have you made any progress in blocking and leanment during traction control events with low-key Odin kits? What is default pulley size for each on Good 93? So I've seen interesting things. I've seen cars that do pull fuel for traction control, and I've seen cars that don't.
Correct.
And
the switch doesn't seem to work.
No, it doesn't.
We have flipped the fuel switch. There's a switch that says traction control, fuel, and you go 0.
And it says
then
no.
it goes, and it takes your fuel anyway.
Yeah. And then default pulley size for Odin on 93, I'd say 88 or 92.
God, what a big pulley.
Yep. And low-key kits, you can kind of go a bit crazier because it's still a stock cold air and a stock throttle body. I believe a 79 makes about 11 to 12 pounds of boost. But which Which pulley you go with ultimately depends on who's tuning the car. If we're the ones tuning the car, I'd say probably like an 82 on a low-key kit. And
72.
88 or 92 on Odin. Don't do it. Snakebit 97. I've heard you guys are making Gen 3R for 0304 Cobras. If it's true, any word on when you guys will be releasing that out?
Absolutely.
So tune
no
in
idea.
to Burnout Box on Thursdays, and that's where you can ask that question and get a decent answer to it.
Ask that guy.
Decream Machine Racing.
And then let us know.
VMP got this 163R figured out. Had the car whining more than
My
my mother
mother-in-law
this past weekend. VMP tuning Bardars. So that's Chad Dowd.
Is
And
that
the
you?
fact that he used Justin's bad arse really bugs me. Because Justin's bad arse really bugs me too. I appreciate you though, Chad.
And also calling out his mother-in-law like that.
I know, right? Man, dude's a savage.
Sure, she's a nice lady.
John Smith, would it be worth it to go from a twin 60 millimeter to a twin 67 or twin 69 and do headers on a Gen 2 R50 on a 79 millimeter pulley, or would a free-flowing mid-pipe be enough? So, if you're going to ask me what something is worth, and this is for everybody, not just John Smith, if you're going to ask me is it worth it to do something, I want you to put a dollar amount next to a horsepower number or a dollar amount next to something else that is quantifiable. Because asking me if it's worth it isn't really a good question. Whether or not it's worth it is dependent on what your goals are
I'm
with the
gonna say
car.
only you can.
Yeah, you define worth. You're the one that's handing over money. You're the only one that can say, this is how much money I am willing to give for this result. Without knowing what result you're trying to hit here, I can't tell you whether or not it's going to be worth it. And without knowing how much money you're willing to spend to achieve that result, I can't tell you that. But if we want to do a guessing game, twin 67 or a twin 69 on a 79 millimeter pulley on a Gen 2R is going to be about 10 to 20 horsepower.
Sounds about right.
So whether or not that's worth it, you decide that. And then as far as headers goes, probably about the same, about 10 to 20 horsepower. So if you're wanting to drop, depending on what headers you go with, you could be anywhere from $500 into a set of headers and a mid-pipe, or you could be $1,500 into a set of headers and a mid-pipe. If you're wanting to drop around $2,200, $2,500 without crazy amounts of installation on all this stuff to achieve about 30 horsepower, great. Just know that the horsepower doesn't add up the way you think it does all the time, and it may only be like 15, 20 horsepower over what you're currently making. So yeah, put a dollar amount next to how much power you want to gain with that dollar amount, and then use that horsepower bump I just gave you and figure out if that's worth it or not. D-Man Dimitri, found my leak, Joe. It was on the intake side of things, but I'm glad you found the leak.
Excellent.
Because I fought that for a little while, because I'm like, I shouldn't be having to add air here to get my fuel back to target, but
Man,
that's you can
part of the
attest.
game.
If we try to tune around a vacuum leak, you're just gonna have bad times.
Correct.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear you got it figured out. You got Brandon Lewis.
Brandon Lewis, is octane booster for E85 a thing? Just curious. Not really. E85 has a tremendously high octane rating to begin with. Of course, I'm going to get people that are going to yell at me. They're going to be like, well, the actual motor octane is not that high, but due to the cooling effect, and was it latency of
Latent heat of
evaporation, it acts like a much higher octane fuel. However, I will say that there is an E85 stabilizer, which keeps it from absorbing as much water and
for all the stuff from leaving it.
Yeah, and all the stuff from leaving it that makes it special, so it does store longer without it gunking things up. But no, you really can't really add octane to E85. If you want to get technical, there's also the argument of that you don't want to add octane to E85 because that 15% gasoline is there to ignite and burn the E85, and anytime you add octane, you're making something more resistant to burning. So in a way, so there's also that argument that if you're taking ethanol and mixing it with a race gas, you're taking a high octane, mixing it with a high octane, it makes it actually much harder to burn and taxes the ignition system and things like that. So that being said, I don't think that octane booster for E85 is a thing or ever will be a thing because it's not what it's just not needed.
Don't
Overcomplicate it.
So, like, I understand why you asked the question. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Javier Perez, there's a new improved 6-inch.
Oh.
That's news to me. We don't currently make a throttle body that has an opening that's 6 inches if converted to round.
Yeah, no, I mean...
So, like, even all the GT500 stuff is still a 5-inch opening. Like, you measure it with a ruler, and you might find 6 inches somewhere on the ruler, but it's not going to equate to a 5-inch round diameter.
That's what she said.
So, I appreciate you, though. Joel Steen. Guys, a couple questions. This is for an 18 GT TVS. What rear wheel can a TVS boosted Coyote make safely with a booster pump? 47s on 93. Do you have to retune the fuel pressure to add a booster pump before you custom tune the vehicle? So the 18 GT TVS, your questions are kind of confusing.
Yeah.
There isn't currently a kit that I'm aware of that includes 47s with a TVS. So I don't know what kit you're referring to, and then what rear wheel can a TVS boosted Coyote make safely with a booster pump 47s on 93? So we'll take all that other crap out of the equation, and we'll go to the meat and potatoes of it, of what can a TVS boosted Coyote make on 93 when it has adequate lift pump fuel pressure.
Which the booster pump helps.
Yeah, exactly. Without knowing whether it's auto or manual, we'll call out manual numbers. I've seen as high as like 760, and I've seen lower than 760.
I've seen 650 to 750, depending on the quality of said 93.
Yep, and then also how much boost it's running, because you can arguably run more boost with less RPM and keep it in the DI window.
Yep.
Or you can run less boost and more RPM and keep it in the DI window, and then your horsepower comes up and your torque stays
correct
down. And
yep.
It's... I don't know if there's really a blanket answer that's good for that.
I'd say call it 700 if you want it, if you had to have a number.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the
around
700
there.
range.
And we got Andrew Fate. What are your recommended spark plugs and plug gap for 13 GT500, 16 pounds of boost, E85? I've been running NGK TR6 at 29 gap.
That's fine. It's a little loose on the gap for me on 16 pounds. I'd like it 26, 28.
So my only problem with that is the NGK TR6 is actually hotter than the stock plug. He's on E85, so it doesn't matter as much.
It doesn't.
But the stock plug in that car is an SP471, which is about the equivalent to a 7 heat range, if I recall correctly.
Which is a BR7EF.
Or a TR7IX 3690 plug.
Correct. Either one.
Yeah, I'd say I'd rather see it in a 3690 plug, and a little bit tighter on gap would probably be a good idea, but
yeah,
you'd
it's not
probably
the end
be
of the
fine
world.
at 29. A lot of people get caught up in the minutia of I need as much gap as I can possibly get so that I get that last ounce of power. And at the
Close
end
the
of
gap until it doesn't run right. Then open it back up a little bit. That's what you should do. Because keep in mind, the plug is going to move once you... So you throw a plug, even if you have a plug in here, and anyone will notice this, take a plug, set it perfectly at 28, throw it in the motor, go make a hit down the track, pull the plug back out, I bet that gap's not 28 anymore.
Yep.
Because you're heat cycling that little strap, it has some memory, it's going to bounce back some. Then you've got, if you put some miles on it, it's going to electrically erode it. So let's say you set them at 29. Let's say you start them at 29, but the damn thing is going to start misfiring at 30. Now you've only got that 1,000th cushion, and it might grow a little bit, and that's it. It erodes and it's done. If you start on the small side, start at 26. Now you
give
can.
yourself a little
now
window.
you've got a 4,000th window before it starts to mess up, and that 26 versus 29 isn't going to change how the car runs at all. It's not. So especially on E85. E85 again, it's a cold wet fuel. It's hard to burn. It's going to want a tighter gap anyway. So close it up, 26, 28, somewhere in that area. Maybe err on the side of 26.
Exactly. Brandon G. Hey guys, I've got your flex fuel tune on my 18 GT. Are STFT and LTFT under 1.0, 0.8 to 0.9 during a WAP hole dangerous, or should I get out of it when I see those? So those aren't dangerous. It's actually the car pulling fuel, not adding it. And I wouldn't be concerned with short-term fuel trims, long-term fuel trims on a naturally aspirated car, whether or not they're basically whatever they're doing. If anything, you look at lambda a lot, and that's
look
going to
at
be
the
the ultimate
actual
determination of
measured
whether or
lambda.
not you need to lift. But I'd say in the shortest, most concise way, you have a naturally aspirated car, your car's fine. And then Fire Dragon, 014.
He said, okay, just hear me out. Coyote swapping an M3 BMW and an old on of course, but a fully supercharged and tuned Coyote. So he's going to Coyote swap an M3, but of course fully supercharge it. I don't hate the idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's something different than LS swapping it. Well, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm down. We got Blue Collar Daily. I have to unplug my dyno plug regardless if it spins or not. It will go all the way to stoic max boost by end of quarter. Sorry for question, but looking hard at a change when this engine comes out.
Interesting.
So that's the guy that was asking about max
Yeah.
power on 93.
No, I thought he was the one that's asking if we had figured out about the traction control on the 18s. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
He was saying that he's got to unplug the dyno plug, otherwise if it spins going on the track, it leans out.
Yeah, I have not found a good fix for that.
Not yet.
Disconnecting the dyno plug is really your best bet.
Do it.
And then Travis shot, I'm just leaving to get the Mickey Thompson's U2 recommended mounted, and boy, are they meaty.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing better than a fresh set of Mickey Thompsons. They're all squishy because they haven't had any heat put on them yet, and the rubber's like, you're
Got that squish.
Yeah.
Paul Brinston, thanks guys. Another quick one. I've heard lots about off-road mid-pipes on GT500s that will lose power and torque off boost. Any truth to this? Only reason I went catless mid-pipe was I'm scared of stock cats getting damaged and destroying the motor. How much boost can the stock 2010 2.5-inch mid-pipe handle? So I've not found a breaking point on the 2.5-inch mid-pipe, in the sense that I haven't found a point in which the 2.5-inch mid-pipe's like, yeah, no, I'm all good. Most of the GT500s I've had experience with, it's more of a situation of the customer knew that the stock mid-pipe was not going to be ideal for certain circumstances and just pulled it out. I haven't seen a case where stock mid-pipe was like, yeah, and the engine's gone because you made 16 pounds of boost with 93 octane. And I've not heard of loss of power down low and torque and stuff off boost. My experience with exhaust on cars is that when put in at a reasonable size, there is no loss of torque or boost or power down low, period.
Not worth it.
I think if you had open headers dumping the atmosphere, that's a different problem entirely, but I've not had experience with cars legitimately losing power off peak because of exhaust. Anthony Hernandez,
I don't know what that means. You have to translate.
DBP.
Derek Moran Productions, YouTuber, that's here.
Oh, okay.
Did the supercharger swap.
Okay.
I gotcha.
I
Nice.
guess that guy's just a fan, he's just shouting about it. That's all.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Just
Yeah,
kidding.
there is a car called Lucifer here getting a supercharger.
Yeah, real nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice dude.
Mm-hmm. We got Joel Steen. I thought the 18 Roush P2 came with 47s, 11 to 12 pounds Roush P2. So the 18 up Roush blowers, if I recall correctly, you know what? I'll pull it up.
Uh-oh.
No, I can't. I need my cable.
No, you can't.
They come with stock injectors, last I had checked. But the 15 to 17.
I don't remember.
The 15 to 17. Oh, I got my handy little document. 1 second, hold please.
It doesn't need a lot of injector, that's for sure.
They don't even come with boosters.
That it needs.
Yeah, they really should have boosters in them. But if I recall correctly, the Roush 18 up stuff does not come with a set of injectors.
Probably not, because again, you're only using a small amount of DI or a PI at the very end. Stock phase 2.
Roush phase 1.
We have phase 1 is stock R56s, but we don't know what the phase 2 is.
Let me see. I wish I could open a file right now, but I can't.
Oh, it's okay, Joe.
Yeah. For another time. Hit me
Indeed.
up next week. That or just PM me and I'll be able to tell you. But at the end of the day, the port injection side, which injectors it has, does not change the amount of power it can make on 93.
Ian Gun 3.
The thing that limits it on 93 is how much DI it has available at watt.
True.
Ian Guthrie.
Serious question and probably the wrong place, but have you guys heard or seen any issues using 5W50 in a Gen 1 engine for extended periods of higher temps, i.e. road course, specifically concerned about bearing clearance? Have I heard any issues? No. I don't. This is where this is going to depend on people because people have their own beliefs. I don't believe in 5W50 in a mod motor anyway. The Boss 02 spec'd 550 because it had a different bearing clearance in it, because it had a steel back bearing with a different clearance. Those did get road raised, but also they're using Motorcraft 5W50, which isn't the greatest oil to begin with. So the 5W50 quickly shears down to a thinner oil to begin with.
Devil's advocate, GT500s are 550 as well.
Correct. So then, again, you're right. So then, again, I think it specs more to the fact that the 5W50 is a thick-ass oil to begin with. But it shears, and I don't know. Also, the other devil's advocate is running a thicker oil actually puts more heat in the oil because it's harder to pump. So they say, oh, we need a thick oil to draw, or because of high oil temps, but the thick oil could also be causing your oil temps.
I'd be curious to see what the pumping increase in oil temp would be 550 versus 530 with the same formulation.
And like I use the only one that I can have I have a bunch of data on is like the power strokes. It is a proven fact because they spec 540. And everyone runs out because it's a diesel. You got to put the Rotella in it, you know. And they run right out and they put 1540 Rotella in it, and the thing goes down. Then they're pulling a trailer. The thing's got 250 oil temps. Change it back to a 5W40, and the difference between a 1540 and a 540 in a power stroke is like 30 degrees pulling.
That's
in
interesting
oil temps.
because wouldn't the first number be the startup viscosity, not the running viscosity?
You would think that, but I'm just telling you that it's a documented difference on the thing will run. It'll pull 30 degrees out of the oil temp pulling. And people say, oh, it's because it's a thinner oil, so it goes through the cooler because it's an air to water oil cooler because it uses the same water the intercooler. So there's theories that it because it's thinner, it has more surface area, so the cooler works better. I don't know. I'm just saying that what I do know is it's a proven fact that a thicker oil runs a higher oil temp because of pumping losses. But I don't know.
I will say that neither of us are oil experts.
No, we're not.
With my stuff, I've run 550 in my shit. I've never had a problem with it.
Right.
I've recommended 550 in the past. All Ford Racing illuminators are spec'd 550.
Correct. Yeah, because they're using the
Bosses
Boss
are
bearings.
550.
They're using the Boss bearings, which is it's a steel back bearing with an extra 1,000th of clearance or whatever.
Exactly. And then the GT500s, 550, 07 to 14. And then Cobras, I want to say were 520 on the cap.
Something like that.
But at the end of the day, I don't think your oil viscosity, when used within reason, is going to cause issues with bearing clearances or shit going wrong at extended periods of higher
especially if you're using a good quality oil.
Exactly.
Because keep in mind, and this goes back
I think that oil temps can cause issues.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't think that...
Well, and this goes back to if you're using a Motorcraft 520 versus an AMSOIL 520 or a Mobil 520, that's two totally different oils.
And I'd be interested to see data on them, but I don't have it.
Yeah.
And I can't. I don't know. I've never had issues with it. So to answer your question, have I ever heard or seen of issues? I have not.
Yeah, I haven't either.
We went down a rabbit hole.
I just don't like... We did. We've not ever seen issues. I don't have any data to point you one way or another. I just don't... I don't like to... It said for every one person that wants to run a thick oil, there's another person that says use what factory recommends. I don't know.
I am of the opinion that using what the factory recommends is a good idea.
Yes, I am as well.
But if you're going to come on here and ask me what oil to use or what oil I use 5W50 in my shit. And with that, do whatever you want.
I use 040 in all my race motors.
Boo-boo. You do you. Andrew Fate, thanks for the detailed response regarding the spark plugs.
No problem.
No problemo. Brandon Lewis, Thanks. Another question. Generally, how long does it take for E85 to get up?
Gel up.
Oh, okay.
How long does it take to E85
Try
to gel
not
up?
to do
Depends
it
on
too.
with stabilizer or without stabilizer. I have seen
Is it exposed to ambient air?
Yep. Is it a sealed tank? Is it an open tank? Is it in a high humidity area? Is it in a cold damp area? I have seen it gel up in 1 month, and I have seen it last 3 years and not gel up.
I would say that if you're not looking to use it for your bug out shelter, you're probably going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
If you're going to drive the car a reasonable amount through the course of a year, I would not worry about it.
Yeah.
There's some documents you can pick up from Sunoco and a few other fuel companies on how long you can anticipate the fuel to last.
Yeah.
And none of those documents have I seen it outlined at which point the fuel gels up.
I
But
generally tell people if you're going to go longer than about a month on the same tank, throw some stabilizer in it because it won't hurt it.
I have experience with customers that have had fuel sit in tanks for months at a time and not have issues.
Correct.
But I have heard of people having issues in
Correct.
shorter time periods.
Correct.
So I don't know the rhyme or reason. We're going to defer to, again, something else.
Yeah.
I don't make fuel.
Yeah.
I'm not a fuel expert. I can tell you what works from a tuning standpoint with certain fuels and what doesn't. But that's kind of the end of my opinion on fuels.
Correct.
And Young Evan 9495, was HP Tuners closed during these stay-at-home orders? I'm not sure.
I don't think they were closed. I think they were all working from home. At least Brooks,
Yeah.
I know Brooks was.
And Ferraro had mentioned that anyone that was deemed non-necessary was working from home.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether the main office was closed or not. Fire Dragon 014. Okay, sweet. So I have a 5.0 Coyote from a 2019 GT, so I want to ask what's the best supercharger that a stock 5.0 can handle, but also give me lots of boost and up the horsepower a lot.
Odin.
Yeah, Odin does a great job at that. There's many superchargers, many different turbo kits, many different power adders you can choose though.
Completely unbiased, but I like the Odin. I like
Yeah.
the intake air temps the best.
Yeah, they're
I
good.
haven't seen anything even come close to the intake air temps of that blower.
There's something else I've seen close. I have not seen another TVS come close to the air temps that blower makes.
No.
You could have something like the Gen 5, or you could have something like Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Just the
I
name.
like Brian's opinion. Blue Collar Daily. I ordered a new plug with leads. Gonna measure the resistor and mount a toggle in the cab so I can quickly bypass the plug. Hard to reach with my airbox. Thanks for answers. Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen a couple guys have done that.
Interesting. Nice, decent concept. I never would have thought of that, honestly.
Yeah, I've seen a few guys do it now. Alan Howard, can you explain how to monitor IAT2 on the BDX? IAT1 is standard, but I cannot figure it out. Got the tuner from you guys, by the way. So did Alan Howard
That's
ask
a
us
your
any
question.
other
I don't
questions?
have a clue on that one.
I need to know what car it's for. So he's only asked one question today. If you're still watching, Alan, let me know what type of car you have. Joel Steen, 18s come with 47s, pretty sure.
Stock or no? Because stock they come with like 24s.
Yeah,
But the
stock-
supercharger.
the
Oh, he's
stock
got the.
injected- Yeah, he's the one asking about the Roush Phase 2.
Yeah, he's got the phase 2.
I can tell you for sure when I look in the calibration later. I can't tell you right now. Michael Smith, hey guys, would you recommend buying a return fuel system to run E85 on a 2011 GT500, currently running a boost-a-pump and ID 1050s? Yeah, so can it be done at lower boost levels?
Yeah.
If you're on a higher boost setup or on like a aftermarket blower, it may not be the best of ideas. But if you want to be a cheap ass and not buy a fuel system,
Throw some boost pumps
we
at
can
it.
give it a try. I'd rather see a return fuel system in a car with a $20,000 engine though. But again, that's your call. Alan Howard,
03
it's
Cobra.
for 03 Cobra. So for that, you need to you need to go into SET and you need to, well, step one, message someone here in tuning. We can send you a configuration file that you can open up in the SET Livewire software. You can go to load config. You load that config after you've communicated with the device, and then you go to export DLX DLF. to device, you name it whatever the fuck you want to name it, and you transfer that file to the device, and then on the device, you hook it up to the car, you go to the gauges data log screen, you go to the settings of that, and then you go to gauges, like configuration file or something like that. You select whatever you name the file, whether it be VMP or otherwise. You select that, then you should be able to view downstream air temp or IET2 on the device.
I didn't know that.
Tell them to mark, like, just say mark this spot in the video so you can come back and listen to you say that again.
Oh yeah, mark this spot in the video.
Yeah, or I think, so our instructions on how to data log outline how to export the configuration file to the device, and that's essentially the same process you would go through to do it on the O3 Cobra. So hit us up, we can send you some instructions, and we can send you the configuration file. Austin Brooks, Joe, why is my truck faster than my car even after I supercharge the car? It's still going to be slower. So for those that don't know, Austin bought Justin's old truck, and Austin also has a Chevy SS. And
Yeah.
Austin is wondering why his supercharged Chevy SS will be slower than
his truck.
F-150 that he bought from us. Because the Coyote does it better, Austin. That's why.
Damn.
Jason Roofer, how close is the tune you send with the Gen 3 on an otherwise stock 1517 car on 93? What is the rev limiter set at? It's higher than stock for sure. So most of the 1517 Gen 3 equipped stuff that we send out on 93 is going to have a rev limiter around 7,700 RPM.
Correct.
And how close is the first file? I'll put it to you this way. We've done cars here. I load the first file, I put it on the dyno. I make no changes, and I'm done. There's also cars where I have to hit fuel 5 to 7% in some regions to get it where I'm happy with it, and that's done.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it depends on the kind of like variance in the car and the variance in the install.
I would say the install is very important because also a lot of people that install them themselves or have shops install them, then the shops don't know what they're doing. There's vacuum leaks.
Yeah, we
There's
see
things
it
hooked up
every
wrong,
day.
routed wrong.
Like things that you shouldn't be able to screw up.
Correct.
We see people screw up. And that's I shouldn't say that's of any fault of their own in some cases, but it's the nature of the beast. If everything's installed right, chances are the file that we send you is going to be 99% of the way there.
Evan Greer, can you explain negative knock?
So there's a big misunderstanding. The parameter is called knock retard.
Correct.
If we go back to, it's probably middle school math, I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
When you have a double negative, it's a positive. So
Yep.
when you have knock retard, if knock retard is a positive value, it is pulling timing.
Yes,
If
it is
knock
retarding
retard
timing.
is a negative value,
It
it
is
is
not.
adding timing. And that's the best way I can explain
Yes.
negative knock to you.
If you see a -1 or a -2, for example, it is adding 1 or adding 2 degrees, which means it does not see any knock. It is happy with what it's seeing and therefore adding additional timing because it is happy.
A double negative is a
knock,
positive.
negative knock is a good thing. That is your friend.
We have
Chuck.
Chuck.
Will Matt Karate tune my Buick?
So
Only he has
can
to-
we tune it? Yes.
He has to cut off more. I want open downpipe.
If Chuck is not the one driving it, we'll tune it.
Ooh.
Ooh. And I say that from the standpoint of Chuck is really hard on stuff. I found that out real quick.
Hashtag trees.
We need.
No, I'm not talking about trees. That kid is like 70% throttle everywhere he goes. He like leaves here doing rolling burnouts every day. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying, Chuck. You're hard on stuff. Own that.
Jeremy sent out.
Plus, it's his daily. Chuck,
Leave it alone.
your daily.
I forgot he can hear this.
Why you do this to me? It was one tree joke.
No. I wasn't talking about the trees. He's talking about the trees. I said that you're hard on stuff. Only because I'm sitting at a gas station, I see you turn left and blasting up the VMP. I hear your turbo popping.
It needs open downpipe. Let's put a exhaust cutout in it.
I was just trying to be safe.
I understand.
You're trying to get away from the Rona.
There was somebody chasing me.
I understand.
Oh, bother.
Oh my God.
So for those that don't recognize that voice, that was Chuck.
That was Chuck.
That's the guy you see in all the videos driving with fast cars and stuff.
Yep. And then we got Jeremy Sano. Odin is going to be here today. Not sure if I'm going to tell my wife it is an intake or some exhaust part.
It's almost both.
It generates more exhaust volume.
It does generate more exhaust volume, but I feel it's closer to being an intake part than an exhaust part.
I'd say it is.
So listen, tell her that, I got you, man. Tell her that there is a technical service bulletin on the 18 GTs for the intake manifold cracking, and you bought the new aluminum manifold so it won't crack.
And it also promotes airflow, which is better for gas mileage.
Correct.
Alan Howard, awesome, thank you, what email? So you could send that in to support@vmptuning.com. That'll get it to the right avenue where it'll go to one of 4 people in tuning.
That'll get it to the operator where it can get passed out.
Exactly. That way it's not in anyone specifically's basket, because if it's in someone's specific basket, it may not be as quick as of a response as if it was in someone's basket that currently has nothing in it. Or less in it.
I deserve that.
Was that karma?
That was karma for saying I liked your basket.
And then we have Nick. Sorry about your last name, man. I can't pronounce that.
Gracias.
Hey, hi, Cos. Great show. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you, sir. I don't know what type of car you have, but I hope you learned something from this. So to date, we have 2 seasons and an additional 21 episodes that you can watch and learn from. Try and gather some information about your car. Like I said, I don't know what car you have, but there's a lot of stuff in the past couple seasons we've
Pay
covered.
attention to when Joe and I go down rabbit holes. That's where the information really starts flowing.
We got Michael Smith. Thank you for the recommendations. I don't
No
remember what
problem.
he was asking about, so Michael, there's only one in here. Well, I appreciate that you appreciate it, I guess.
We still got to get old B-Roll's question over here.
Yeah, but what is it? Hit us with it, Brian.
Come at me, bro.
Oh, Michael Smith's question was, would you recommend buying return style fuel system?
Oh, why did it not show up?
Yeah, I know. I did the
He
Control
did
F.
he did the Control F and it failed him.
Oh, that's because I typed it in manually and I spelled it wrong. I typed it
Oh.
in manually.
My bad, homie.
So it's Michelle Smith. No, I'm just kidding.
No problem, man.
Michael Smith.
And like, I know I might come across as like condescending or mean, but at the end of the day, it's a $20,000 engine. Can it work at lower boost levels without a return fuel system? Yeah, it can. But the 11, we'll call it 12 and down fuel system, isn't as capable as much fuel flow as a 13-14 system.
Yeah.
And putting a booster on it is just going to band-aid it, and it'll end up being about, I think it's about $600 worth of parts. That if your ultimate goal is to run E85, you could take that same $600 and put it towards a fuel system that we
Correct.
sell.
Fuel
And
systems are always the hardest sell, and people
They
say,
are,
"What do
and
you
I don't
mean I
know
gotta?
why.
What do you mean I gotta spend $1,000 and it doesn't give me any power?"
We have customers, and no offense to those customers, but we have customers that have no problem dropping $8,000 on a blower,
Right.
but they scoff at $1,800 on a fuel system.
Correct. They go, "Well, what do you mean it doesn't give me any more power? I don't want it if it doesn't give me any more power." I'm like, yeah,
So-
but you have to have this.
So at the end of the
Yeah,
day, you're adding a lot of airflow, and thankfully the fuel pumps Ford's put in a lot of these newer cars have a lot of headroom in them.
Yeah.
But you're adding a whole bunch more air to the car, and therefore you're adding a whole bunch more fuel that's required to meet the air-fuel requirements of the engine. And then, on top of that, you get guys that are wanting to compound that by running E85
Yep.
and running like more and more fuel, so that's like plus.
And honestly, and not to stereotype, but we might as well. The O3 Cobra guys are the worst. Let's face it.
Yeah.
They are terrible. They'll spend hours and days trying to make that engineering a fuel system. They're taking the stock hats and they're welding fittings on them and they're trying to put wires through it and JB weld the wires so the fuel doesn't come through the hat. And they're trying to like stack 3 and 4 FPDMs in a row and I'm like, just put a hat in it. Like, guys, like they will go to the ends of the earth to try and save, and they end up having almost the same money in it because they do it 3 times.
Well, what's funny is I think that most of the GT500 guys we deal with previously owned Cobras.
Yeah, I'm noticing that trend. I'm noticing that all
So
the
it's
other
the
3 Cobra
same
guys.
guys.
Yep.
Not saying that that's you, Michael Smith. I don't know whether or not you owned or previously owned a Cobra, but it is a reoccurring element. We see a lot in tuning.
At least he asked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's step
exactly.
1.
And like I said, will it work on lower boost levels? It absolutely
Yeah,
will.
you'd be right.
But I haven't really found the definitive cutoff line, and that also depends, where that cutoff line is, depends on if you're one of the people that's like at 100% duty cycle, that's where it's maxed out.
Yeah.
Or if you're one of the people that's like, when it starts dropping pressure below the point at which the injectors can tolerate, that's when it's out of fuel.
Yeah.
So there's two different types of people.
Definitely
in
two
this
different
world.
types of people in the world. There's the, oh, it's at 100%, but...
So it's at 100% on the fuel pump, but it's still at 85% on the injector duty cycle, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we
what
went
do you
down
got?
another rabbit hole.
What do you got, Brian?
Brian, what's that question, B?
Okay, so, I was on the internet earlier, right?
Ooh,
Oh, careful.
Yeah.
Careful.
I hear you can catch stuff through there.
Yeah, lots of viruses. Anyway, I stumbled upon a thread of people chatting about Mustangs, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, piqued my interest because I work here, right? Not necessarily car.
You're like, I know some stuff about
I
Mustangs.
know a few things, right?
I'm going to go in here.
Right. So there I saw people, and so just to be clear, it was a girl that started the post.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, bless her DMs.
I know, poor.
I know.
Immediately,
I
that's
can,
what I thought.
I can sense the thirst.
Right, so, a bunch of white knights jumped on their horses, right?
Yep.
Yep.
To the rescue we went, right?
Right,
or
absolutely.
On their Mustangs, if you will. Okay. So
Yep, absolutely.
So then, people were kind of giving her shit because it was an automatic
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't manual, right? Because like a few people.
They were just mad because she was faster than them. But anyway.
Right. Anyway, I don't know. I know nothing about any of that stuff. But anyway, so then I just want. Really, my question today is just fact checking the white knights, okay? Because I know you guys are the experts. So let's do a little white knight.
Let's fact check. the
White Knight fact checking. I like this, Brian.
Yeah.
I like this.
So we're talking about a 2015 kind of EcoBoost.
Look at him coming in here with
Look
information.
at this.
Gotcha.
You already know
It's
more.
not like
than-
it's just a car.
You're already half up on sales.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
Oh my God. Okay.
So she had an S550 EcoBoost.
EcoBoost.
Okay, it's a 4-cylinder EcoBoost, automatic.
All right, automatic, right?
Okay.
Do the automatics hold together better than manual?
The transmission?
Transmissions.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, so
The
that's
automatic will handle more power than a manual. Yes.
point one for the white knights.
Yeah.
Alright.
The white knight
they
number
were
one
correct on
was
that.
correct. This is like a ASE.
I know, I like
question. Technician
Yeah, I know
one,
what you-
technician two. Both 1 and 2. Neither
is
1
A,
and 2.
Yeah, is A right, B right? Are they both right, or are neither one of them right? And you're like, these are real questions, by the way.
And this is just a follow up, and this was just the white knights follow up thing.
Okay. Hit me.
Do people blow up M282s all the time?
MT82s?
I'm not very in depth with the EcoBoost side of the market,
Okay.
so I don't know how many of those guys specifically are blowing up MT82s. But the Coyote side, it seems to be more like shift fork issues
I was
than
gonna
like
say,
tearing up gear
the
sets.
MT82 is actually not that. It's actually a decent transmission, but the
A lot
Achilles.
better, a world-class T5.
Yes, the Achilles heel of the MT82 is it doesn't handle abuse. So there's a difference between putting a bunch of power through it and then abusing it.
And then you have those guys that say that they're not abusing it
But they
because they have a different definition of what abuse is.
Right.
Right.
The same
the-
guys that just like smack their girlfriends around a little.
Sure.
Just
Right.
like keep
So-
them in line.
when you're out there,
God damn.
when you're out there power shifting it, grinding gears because your clutch isn't set up right, or you're just plain trying to rip the shifter off the floor because you feel like you need to impress
You're
someone by
going
how
for that-
amazing your shifts are.
You're going for that extra 1,000th in the quarter.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm super impressed by them.
Right.
Yeah.
That will break an MT82.
Yeah.
But there is plenty of people that have stock MT82s putting a lot of power through them, but they're treating them correctly, and they actually do. They're not that bad of a transmission.
Okay.
So that being said, the EcoBoost really doesn't make that much power compared to like a modified Coyote. So I would assume that
And they
it would
don't
be-
really turn that much RPM.
It would be just fine. However, then there's the argument of does the stereotypical EcoBoost driver abuse their transmission more than a Coyote driver? I couldn't tell you that. I feel like probably. But because generally your EcoBoost guys are going to maybe be the younger crowd. Maybe they couldn't afford the Coyote, or their parents
Maybe
bought
it's
on
their
the
first
EcoBoost.
manual car.
Maybe it's their first manual car, so they're out there like 18-wheeler.
And when they turn their MT82 into a 100-speed transmission, they don't want to admit that possibly that's their
A
fault.
box full of neutrals.
So they're blaming the trans,
Okay, so.
not their driving.
With deductive reasoning, we're giving the White Knight 100%.
That it's not a
Yeah.
bad transmission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't he say that the
He
MT82?
said-
Well, no, he said they blow up a lot.
He said.
Okay, so he didn't say why
No,
necessarily.
he said the MT82s blow up a lot, and automatics hold together better than that.
I'd give
Yeah,
him a solid.
I'll give him a solid
I'll
plausible.
give him half on the second one.
We'll go plausible.
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters, we'll go plausible.
Yep. I'm with it.
Joe's got the beer.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll go plausible.
I'm with it.
Okay.
Well, I guess they both have glasses. Because I was going to say, Matt's got the glasses.
I can't be Adam.
He can pull the Jamie.
Well,
You could.
but see,
Yeah.
I could be the Adam because he's doing the red hair thing too.
Ooh, yeah.
100% you could.
As long as I'm not Carrie.
Joe has the Joe has it's like Jamie has a strong foundation. You know what I'm saying? Like lots of conviction when he says things, and every now and again he'll slide in a joke. And when
Is
he
it the
does,
baritone?
It's really funny. It's not baritone. No. I just mean like it's just when you say things, your conviction is like, I know this is right because I've done the research.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah,
When
you
Joe
know
speaks,
what
you
I'm saying?
listen.
Yeah, like science.
Some people don't.
Yeah. Well,
And
they
then
should.
Adam's the man-child that's just over there setting everything on fire.
Who also knows. what
Who
I'm
also knows a
talking
lot.
Yeah, but and so I agree with this because Adam needs to be saved from himself many times, and that is definitely me. That is definitely me.
And Jamie needs to get off his
I
high
will-
horse every now and then.
I will 100%. I can definitely side with Adam because I will definitely 100% self-destruct if you leave me alone.
Yeah.
I definitely need that other person
Oh,
saying you
man.
shouldn't do that.
And I play with my mustache hair a lot, and I can only assume Jamie does, because
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
That's because listen, it's chin wisdom.
But I don't like his hats.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not with the
crazy
hats.
weird. You know they don't like each other?
Oh, it's sad.
Well, yeah, they worked with each other for like 30 years ago. I don't like you in 30 years.
And then when the show ended, there's this big viral video that went huge where it was like why Adam and Jamie will never work with each other again, and it was like we're done. I don't hate him. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
Just-
I'm close to hating him. I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop now while I don't hate him.
Exactly. Right.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I can never hate Joe.
It is sad though. It's like finding out R2D2 and C3PO don't like each other.
That's true.
That's right.
What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the.
I was gonna say we
Yeah.
can wrap.
Can we
Is
throw
there-
Looney
is there
Tunes? That's
anything else
also.
on there? Oh, okay. Yeah, we're all done here then.
I want Looney Tunes.
So
That's
with
all,
that,
folks.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you have any Gen 3R Cobra related questions or
Odin question.
other product release / business related questions, save those for Justin on Burnout Box or Rebecca on Burnout Box on Thursdays.
Tell them we sent
And yeah,
And also, we have a intro video to Derek Brand Productions guy being here.
you. Oh,
Mhm.
that's right.
YouTuber
Yep.
fellow that's
Mhm.
partnered with us. That's going out tonight.
Yep.
That'll be just stick around Facebook, YouTube, all that nonsense.
yeah, you'll
Lot-
get a notification if you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you won't get a notification.
So YouTube be popping off here soon, right? Is that what all the cool kids are saying?
That is what they are saying.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's-
And with that, we'll be back next Tuesday. I hope you guys stay out there and stay safe till then. Try and enjoy yourselves. And yeah, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.